Hey guys, and welcome back to and now for something a little bit different, episode 59. Today, guys, I'm continuing my month of animation, and with me for a return visit, I have the wonderful Mr. Dave Gray. Dave, welcome back. It's good to
Hi,
see you, everybody.
nice to be
I'm glad,
back.
yeah, I'm glad you could join us. Today, we're going to be talking about the 1982 animated film, The Last Unicorn, directed by Jules Bass and Arthur Rankin. I can make words, I promise. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about that. It should be an interesting conversation. Have you had, before we do that, have you had anything you've had the opportunity to catch lately, or anything you're playing or read?
Well, I watched Faladay because you mentioned it, and I hadn't
Oh, you
seen it
did? Okay.
before.
Nice.
That sent me down a. I'd read the books.
Oh,
Three
okay.
of them
I
had
have
been
not.
released in English, and I read them years ago. And I didn't know that
Nice.
the author went full tilt Nazi. He's in prison right now for inciting hate against immigrants in Germany.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, dude went nuts. So I
Yeah,
went
that's
down a
cool.
rabbit hole with that.
Uh,
I was up till like 2 a.m. Like just I didn't know how crazy things got. Like it's
I
crazy
mean,
here, but
yeah, no, absolutely. I didn't know anything about the history behind the filmmakers or the writers of that. I mean, I know it was based off a book series, but I didn't know anything about the behind the scenes drama that you're talking about. That's crazy.
me neither. It was insane. I like the movie though, so there's
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I,
I know Deaf
hmm,
Crocodile Films, I want to say.
mhm.
They're like a partner label with Vinegar Syndrome. They just
Yeah,
released like a nice shiny edition.
4K. It's their
Um,
first release. Yeah, I was reading about that. I was considering it, but then I was like, yeah, I don't want to give the Nazi money, so
yeah,
I'll
no,
wait.
it's understandable,
I'll
and
wait.
I know you. It was on YouTube. I think you can find it on the I
Hmm?
think Internet Archive. I want to
Oh
say.
yeah, you should find like 8, 10 archive.
Yeah, yeah, but oh, I'm glad you liked it. That's awesome, man.
Mhm.
Very cool. And you said the books are definitely worth checking out as well.
The books are interesting. Well, there's only three that have come over to English, so I
Uh,
read I read one and
the
two.
whole
I didn't even
series.
know the fifth one was also translated. They're interesting. I am big into mysteries, so they're like
Mm,
right up my alley. Here's cat solving mysteries. I was like, oh fuck yeah, I'm gonna
yeah,
read that shit,
and
please.
it's dark as fuck, man. The movie at least
Yeah,
was.
yeah. So are the books. But again, there's a lot of now knowing what I know about the author. A
Yeah.
lot of things make more sense while I think about it. Uh,
Nice.
bes- besides that, yeah, it's just Raiders stuff, which I talk about on
Yeah.
Raiders. And I streamed. Do you ever play the game? Uh, Life is Strange came out like 10 years
I have
ago.
years ago when it first came out, and I had a good time with that. Yeah.
Company that made it just did a new one,
Oh,
just
okay.
released this week called uh I told Lost Records Bloom and Rage. The first half has been
Mm,
released, the second half is being released in a couple months. It is
mm.
excellent. It is fantastic. Get your
I heard
90s
about that.
nostalgia on with a bunch of baby lesbians. It is thumbs up.
Oh, nice. Very cool, man. That's awesome. Well, I'm gonna definitely have to check that out. I think I was waiting for the second part to come out and just
Mhm.
bang it out in all one big shot. But
That makes sense. Yeah.
I liked Life is Strange a lot. I thought that was a lot of fun. That was a really good game, really good storytelling, and I think
Mhm.
it was I think it was an indie game, right? I'm pretty sure.
Well, it got picked up by and it's still owned the franchise is still owned by Square. Square Enix
Oh,
picked
okay.
them
I
up.
didn't realize. Okay,
I think
very
they
cool.
published them all and they still own the series. That's why Don't Nod went off to do Lost Records, which is it's the same kind of gameplay,
Mm,
but 90s focused, and it hit my nostalgia bone, especially if you like the Riot Girl stuff.
mm, very cool. Nice. Well, I'm definitely going to look forward to checking that out. I do not have a lot because I've just been dealing with this stupid sinus infection that won't go away. So I haven't written a lot down. I'm just kind of winging it a little bit today with today's episode. I saw The Monkey in theaters on Friday. I played hooky. Osgood Perkins. I haven't
Mhm.
seen everything. I saw Longlegs. I think he did what, the Black Coat's daughter. I want to say I still haven't seen that one.
Yeah, he did Hansel and Gretel a couple years,
Oh,
or
okay.
maybe it was just Gretel, the
Oh, okay.
the one with the girl from It, whose name I
Yeah,
can't remember.
I have a very faint memory. I think I might have actually seen that
Mm.
one. Monkey, if you like like a Tales from the Crypt kind of vibe. That's what it reminded me of. I've never read the short story that it's based off by Stephen King. Basically, Osgood Perkins is directing it. You got Theo James as the main actor. And basically, the premise is pretty simple. There's this cursed wind-up monkey that their father, I guess, disappeared on Theo James as a young child, and that he left behind this monkey. And of course, whenever you wind it up, someone randomly dies. And it's really more, I would say, it's definitely it's horror, but it's more of a, I would say, almost even more dark comedy than horror, which is right up my alley. Um, all the actors are good. I would say 99% of the movie is pretty damn good. Towards the end, it kind of, there's a moment that kind of wraps up a little bit too convenient, but it's a minor nitpick. Other than that, a good time at the theater. So I saw that. And then believe it or not, I've just recently started watching The Sopranos, and I've never seen
Ah,
that show, and I'm enjoying it. I'm only about 10 episodes in, so I've just been watching that, and then I've been doing a lot of stuff for the show, like yourself, like future episodes and stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to, as far as what I've had the chance to see. But yeah, I'm glad you had the chance to check out Philly today, man. That's cool. I'm glad you liked it. 'Cause I know
yeah,
that was one of
I
the big watch-
did. It's been years since I read the book. I did not know what to expect. I was,
Yeah, and you never know how it's going to adapt from book to
yeah,
screen either. So
yeah, which,
so it's cool. I'm glad I'm glad they did the book justice. Very cool. All right, so I guess at this point I'm going to just go into a little bit behind the scenes. I'll talk about our two directors. Like I said, we have Arthur Rankin and Jules Bass. They directed this. A lot of people might know these guys. I remember them as a kid. I'm 50 years old now. I remember TV, a lot of TV specials like The Little Drummer Boy in '68, Frosty the Snowman, of course, the animated Hobbit in '77, um, The Flight of the Dragons in '82, The Wind in the Willows, stuff like that. They primarily work together as a team, I think, from what I can tell, for most of their career. Um, and these are guys that I just grew up on. And I just recently discovered the movie we're talking about today. I just recently, excuse me, discovered it a couple months ago. It was a random thing on Tubi. And I'm like, oh, I'm always down for something animated. And I honestly didn't know anything about the original book or anything, and I'm a pretty big fantasy nerd. So I'm surprised by that. But I just never heard of it. So I saw it and I was like, oh, this might lead to an interesting conversation. So I figured let's talk about this one. So that's our directors. Now with our writer, we have the actual novelist who actually wrote the screenplay, Peter S. Beagle. It's based off his novel. He's also written screenplays for stuff like The Dove in '74, something called The Greatest Thing That Almost Happened in '77. He wrote the screenplay for the Lord of the Rings animated in '78, Camelot in '98. And he wrote an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, apparently, back going into 1990.
it was the episode Sarek, the one where Picard and Sarek mind meld.
Oh, okay, nice, nice. Like yourself. I'm a Trek guy. I need to get caught up on my Trek because it's been a while since I've done like a proper, like Next Generation in particular marathon. But that's one of those shows me and the dad used to watch like religiously every day. They'd have the repeats and we'd watch the episodes and stuff. Like Deep Space Nine and some of the other series, I need to like do a deeper dive into that world. Some of those series because I haven't gone into those as far as I'd like. But Next Generation, I got a lot of love for Next Generation.
Deep Space Nine hits, especially now. It kicks. I'm telling you, you need to
Yeah,
get into that.
no, definitely. I gotta see who's streaming it. I'd like to buy. Eventually, it's one of those things I'd like to buy the series, but they're so freaking expensive
I
because there's
think
so many damn episodes.
it's on. It's Peacock. No,
Oh,
Paramount Plus.
Paramount. Ah,
Paramount Plus.
Paramount. Okay, okay, nice.
It might also
Um,
be on Prime currently.
oh, okay. I'll have to check that out. When it comes to music, we have a composer, Jimmy Webb, who's done stuff like The Naked Ape in '73, Voices in '79. He did Tales of the Crypt from '91 to '92, stuff like Amazing Stories in '87, a film called Clean and Narrow, stuff like that. We also have handling the music. We have the band America. They did the soundtrack for the film, and I think they composed. I think they did some original pieces for the film, but it's like at least like 3 or 4 songs that they do throughout the film. So um, those are the people handling the music. When we get to our editing, we have a guy named Tomoko Kida. He's worked with these guys before on the Flight of the Dragons. He'll work with them in '82. And then he's also done stuff like Nausicaa Valley of the Wind. He worked as an editor on that. That came out in '84. Only Yesterday, which came out in '91. Those are just a couple things of some of his stuff that he's worked on. When we get to our animation department, we actually have 20 people working on the animation department, which I was kind of surprised by because I feel like I thought this would have had a bigger animation department. But I mean, I guess it was considered an indie film. I don't know. I don't even
Well,
know.
it's Japan in the 80s. You know,
Yeah.
they whipped him into shape.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess so. I mean, I will say, from a technical level, I dug the animation a lot. But then again, I love that hand drawn animation. I really do. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't have an issue with CGI stuff, but I just love the hand drawn animation in general. Um, so I didn't bother to write down everybody as far as all the animators because we'd be here for another 3 hours.
Well,
But
you saw what the company did, right? Topcraft
no,
is
I
okay. The studio is called Topcraft, and they
okay,
did a lot of work with Rankin and Bass. They did Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. They did their
okay,
Coneheads, but Topcraft, a couple years after the split in half, split into two
mm,
studios. One was
mm,
Studio Ghibli,
mm.
so they did all that stuff. The other one was eventually bought by Disney and did all the Disney afternoon stuff in the 90s.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. See, I did not know that. Very interesting. Now, I guess I'll go briefly into the cast. I'm just going to cover the main people here. We have Alan Arkin. He's playing the apprentice wizard Schmendrick. I hope I got that right.
Schmendrick.
Schmendrick, yes. Um, now, Alan Arkin is an icon. He's been in stuff like Catch 22 in 1970, Freebie and the Bean in '74. He pops up in stuff like Edward Scissorhands in 1990, Rocketeer. Of course, Glengarry, Glenn Ross, Gattaca, Slums of Beverly Hills, which I love. Stuff like Little Miss Sunshine, Argo, Stand Up Guys. And more recently, I think he worked on a Netflix show called The Kaminsky Method, which I really dug. That was a Netflix show with him and Michael Douglas. I think it was one of the last things he did, I think. Um, Moving along, we have our man Jeff Bridges. He's playing the role of Prince Lear. Now, of course, Jeff Bridges is an icon. He's been in everything. Um, just a quick, brief summary of some of the bigger names, or some of the stuff people might be more familiar with. 8 Million Ways to Die, The Fabulous Baker Boys, Starman, Tron, of course, Heaven's Gate, Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, Winter Kills. The list goes on with this guy. He's one of those guys that's been in the biz forever, and he's all over the place. Um, Next, we have Mia Farrow. Mia Farrow is playing the role of the unicorn, Almathea. Mia Farrow is one of those people. She's, again, one of these iconic actresses. She's been in stuff like Rosemary's Baby, Hannah and Her Sisters, A Dandy and Aspic. Of course, Supergirl. How can we forget that? And then she's done other animated stuff like Arthur and the Invisibles. And more recently, she did a TV show called The Watcher, which came out in 2022. I think that's some of her more recent stuff. Um, Next, we have Tammy Grimes. Tammy Grimes is playing the role of Molly Grew. She's been in stuff like America in '86, The Stuff in '85, High Art in '98, and Can't Stop Music in 1980. So just a little bit of what she's done before. Next, we have Robert Klein, who's playing the butterfly voice. He's been in stuff like Hooper in '78, Tales from the Dark Side, the movie in 1990, Next Stop Wonderland in '98, The Landlord in 1970. Another one that's been all over the place. Just a great working actor. Um, we have next we have Angela Lansbury. She's playing the role of Mommy Fortuna, and let's face it, everybody knows Angela Lansbury from Murder, She Wrote. I never saw an episode of this show, and even I know her from that show. She was on that show for over 10 years, 264 episodes, which is nuts. But a lot of people don't know she was in stuff like, I didn't realize, The Manchurian Candidate in 1962. She did a voice in the animated Beauty and the Beast in 91. Stuff like Death on the Nile in 78. Stuff like that. So that's a little bit of Miss Lansbury's previous work stuff. Of course, we have to mention Christopher Lee playing the role of King Haggard. Christopher Lee is just one of those icons, man. This guy always amazes me with the amount of stuff. 291 different films he's been in. I mean, it makes sense that he was in his 90s, I think, when he finally passed, like 93, 94. And the guy did a heavy metal album when he was in his late 80s. I haven't listened to it, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm curious.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I can only imagine,
And he stabbed a lot of Nazis in World War II. I mean, Christopher,
Oh,
if you want to be somebody, be Christopher Lee. I'm just putting that out there.
yeah,
Be Christopher Lee.
be Christopher Lee. I kick myself, Dave, because at one point he had a website, and you could actually go on the website and you could order like autograph stuff. And I found out about it too late. And by the time I found out about it, I guess they just didn't do the website anymore. And I was like, how come I didn't jump on that? I know.
I didn't know about that. I'd have so much
Yeah,
Christopher Lee. It'd all be behind me if I had it, but I don't, so
yeah.
it's not there.
But he's one of those guys, man. I'm like, oh shit, I wish I had known about that. Yeah. So of course Christopher Lee, I think a lot of people know him from stuff like the Star Wars, obviously, more mainstream. But then of course stuff with Hammer horror, The Mummy in 59, Horror of Dracula 58, The Curse of Frankenstein in 57. You got stuff like The Crimson Pirate in 52. Of course, the original Wicker Man in 73. He's another one. Worked on another animated Lord of the Rings, or no, not Lord of the animated. I'm sorry, I'm losing my tripping up here. He was in the live action Lord of the Rings in 2001. My brain's not working today, guys. Stuff like Corpse Bride. The list goes on with Christopher Lee. The guy's done a million things. An icon. It was a pleasure to see him there. I like I said before, I'd seen this movie. I had no idea that had anything to do with this, and he's great in his little role. We have Keenan Wynn, who plays the role of Captain Coy and also the Harpy. Keenan Wynn is one of these guys that's been in stuff like Doctor Strangelove, stuff like Piranha, Annie Get Your Gun. He popped up on TV like Highway to Heaven, The Fall Guy, Tales from the Dark Side. He's one of these character actors that just pops up all over the place. And then finally, I'm going to close with our cast with a guy named, and I'm going to fuck up his last name because it's French, and I'm going to totally screw it up. But I brought this guy up because I know you would probably know him. Rene,
I would have if you didn't.
Joris. Exactly. And again, I know you're a Star Trek guy. Deep Space Nine, 173 episodes, plus, stuff like The Patriot in 2000, the MASH movie in 1970, and Boston Legal. I never saw an episode of that show, but apparently he was on 71 episodes of that show. So
he's great in it. And he did a lot of Broadway too. A lot of Broadway.
I mean, he was iconic. With the episodes I did watch, like I said, I have more invested in Next Generation. I've just seen more of the show, but obviously I have seen some Deep Space Nine, and he's great in his role. He's absolutely amazing. So, but he's one of those guys that should have gotten more. I feel like he's one of these guys that should have popped up more. But that's the case, I think, with a lot of actors. So now when it comes to the film, I'm going to talk about the story. I'm not going to go too crazy. I'm just going to give a brief summary. I kind of cheated a little bit and just Google a quick summary just because I'm not feeling 100%, and I didn't have a chance to kind of do a normal script breakdown like I normally would do. Basically, it's in this animated musical, The King Haggard, played by the titular Christopher Lee, who we were just talking about, plots to destroy all the world's unicorns. When a young unicorn, played by Mia Farrow, learns that she's in danger and that she may soon be the last of her kind, she leaves the safety of her protected forests and enlists the help of Schmendrick, a gentle but clumsy sorcerer. Together, they embark on a long and dangerous journey with one goal: to defeat Haggard and save the unicorns from extinction. And again, it's more of a quick summary than I normally get into, but it's the general idea of the plot. Now, with that said, I'm curious. Let me hear what your thoughts are, because you're someone that has a history with this, right? Because you've read like 99% of the novels except for the last one you said, I think.
Yeah, okay. So I am a big well, I'm a dork because I'm here talking to you, or I wouldn't be here talking to you. I'd be doing something
Well, I'm a
awesome,
dork
right?
too.
Right? So yeah,
So I'm right there.
I'm a big fan of Peter S. Beagle, and I had not seen this movie. It's one that I don't know if it's my age or like I'm old now, but like I don't this didn't click when I was a kid. I saw like all the other Rankin and Bass. Like I have a deep
Yeah.
love for their Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, but this one
Oh,
just
me too.
didn't it just missed me.
Yeah.
So I read the book as an adult, and it's an adult
Mm,
book. They're
mhm.
all adult books.
Yeah.
So I don't have the love for this a lot of people do, and I I'm not gonna be as nice as I want to be.
That's okay, Dave.
uh,
Listen, one of these days I'll get you on an episode and I'll find something you absolutely adore. I don't know when it's gonna
you
happen,
already
but it's
did.
what's that?
I already got
Yeah,
to
you're
gush
right.
about
You're
one of
right.
my all-time favorites last
Yeah.
time. But okay, the thing with this is the book is very much about the world, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and the movie drops a lot of the best stuff, and instead the book has a lot of poems and stuff that are very lyrical and wonderful, and they're gone for bad songs. All of Lur's stuff is gutted, and Lear is a great character. He's actually named after a Celtic sea god. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff that ties in and expands that's just gone. And instead we spend 8 minutes with the fucking butterfly. Mm. Maybe I'd be nicer if it didn't open with the fucking butterfly. But
It
that
is lyrical.
fucking butterfly, man. I get it. It's an adaptation. You can't do everything perfect. I understand. I
Yeah.
understand somebody went, it's a kids movie. Let's put something fun in, but there's no excuse for that butterfly. The cat, I
Yeah.
love the cat in the book, and he's a pirate in this for reasons. There's a lot I like. I
Yeah.
like a lot of the voice cast. I think Angela Lansbury and her role is great. I think
Mm.
Alan Arkin is good. I like Mia Farrow. She has an otherworldly delivery. I think it works for the most part. I think it's a little
Yeah.
lacking in the second half. I really love Christopher Lee. I mean, always Christopher Lee is always great, but he really
Yeah.
sells King Haggard, and King Haggard is not an easy character. I really like Tammy Grimes. I think she is brilliant as Molly Grew. Her first scene seeing the unicorn it's some of the best line deliveries in any animated thing from that era I can think of offhand. Her
Mm.
delivery, that whole why now it's heartbreaking. It is truly a fantastic performance.
Mm.
Unfortunately, it falls down in a lot of other areas for me. It does. I understand that it has to be 90 minutes. I understand there's limitations,
Yeah.
but I think what they choose to focus on are weird bits. Like we're with Cully a little too long.
Mm.
They gloss over Lear's stuff way too much. It's just instead of doing what they can with it, there's just a little bit too much of I'm not really sure what they're trying to do because this is even before the start of the Disney Renaissance. I guess they felt it was in the air and things were going to go this way.
Mm.
But as it is, I mean, and yeah, okay, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit both have a song, but it's a song that
Yeah. It's not entire.
matters. It's not, yeah. There's a lot of like weird musical breaks. I don't get the breast tree. The breast tree is creepy and icky and weird. And maybe
I
that's in the
take it that's
book
not in the book.
and
Not
I'm
in the
just
book.
not remembering.
Yeah.
Not that I remember. I mean, there's
Yeah.
other stuff I remember in the book and that
Yeah.
blanking. So maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I just don't remember it. But this like ultimately, and I know it means a lot to other people, and I'm not going to say,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's fucking terrible. Fuck you for liking it."
No.
But for me, it's a missed opportunity. There's a remake that was gearing up in like 2012. Christopher Lee was
Oh,
actually supposed to return as Haggard.
oh, okay.
It fell through. I don't think they got any of
Uh,
it done,
yeah,
but this is just one of those ones where I I really want to see this done well, and it's just
yeah,
not this version. And it's a shame that two of my least favorite book adaptions are both from the same animation group because I'm not a fan. I'm just not a
yeah.
fan of this one. I think the design is gorgeous. Like there's some bits with the unicorn, especially that are just they're beautiful looking,
Hmm.
but I don't think it lands as a whole. And again, I am not the audience for it. I understand that.
Yeah. Now, do you think it would have been better served if they had like broken it up into two movies, or if they had did like a
Yeah.
mini series kind of thing?
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Oh
to kind of
definitely.
just to expand and give the characters more room to further develop. Because
Yeah. Well,
you mentioned stuff in the book, and I don't have that. Like we were talking off camera before we started about the love of a source material, and sometimes when you have that love, people and especially when you do what we do with the film stuff, it's hard because people say you're supposed to separate the two. And I remember I was telling you, like, if you love something and you see the distinction between the two, it's so hard to nail it. And you're saying the book seems like there's a lot more going on.
well, the characters are developed more,
Yeah,
especially Lur. The butterfly does appear in the book, but it's a lot
yeah,
less
brief.
grating.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not. Let's focus on this a lot.
yeah. Well, like
Like,
you said, 8 minutes is a bit. That is a
yeah,
bit.
Haggard is a more interesting character. It's
Yeah,
just one of those ones where there's a lot. It's not like way off base. It's not like the
yeah,
worst adaptation they could have done. It's just what the choices they make are not ones that make sense to me. But
yeah,
again, I'm not in that audience anymore. This was
yeah,
made at a time where it had to be 83 minutes. It had to be in and out, next showing for the kids. You know, it needs more time. It needs to breathe. It needs to the transition needs to be focused on more because the book it's about identity and our interconnections, and the movie isn't.
mhm,
The
yeah,
movie is about here's a unicorn and things happen. So, and I understand that it's difficult to tell these stories in a visual medium,
yeah.
but you can do better than this.
And I think maybe, and I could be over speaking here, but I probably, based on what you're saying with the book is not geared at kids, right? The book is
No,
probably
no,
geared
no.
at least teens or adults, and they're trying to
Yeah,
find something like the concept of a unicorn and shoehorn it into something they can market towards the kids market. Um,
yeah.
I, I'm going off topic a little bit. Like I had Mike the Wildebeest on here last week. We talked about robot dreams, and um, and I think America has gotten a lot better, but for the largest period of time, people just associate cartoons and they just think it can't be anything other than Tom and Jerry or Bugs Bunny or you know what I mean? Like they think of this, they don't think you can tell a story that's meant for adults with the form using the form of animation. And I think it's gotten a lot better, but I feel like if you were to talk to someone that's like a non like film geek, a lot of people like
Well,
especially like people like that are our age or average person, most people that I would talk to feel like you're gonna sit there and watch like a cure like or like you know what I mean like or something that's because they still have this association in their mind. I'm not saying it's right, but like this ignorance in their mind about like animation and like its place in America. And I think that's gotten a lot better, but I think some people
I think it goes a little
still
further
think
than that because it was just a couple years ago on the Oscars. They literally said animation is for children because they got in
yeah,
trouble for not including adult animated stuff in their best picture category. I don't remember what movie it was off the top of my head, but it was the same
yeah,
year. Oh, what year was it? It was just within the last 3 or 4
year.
years.
And it
Yeah,
was it a foreign film or was it an American
it,
film?
it was. It was a Japan. I think it was Japanese, but I
See,
could be brain farting.
yeah, and that to me that makes sense because you think about like I said, not to derail, I'm not trying to, I promise, but when you think about other countries, they take especially in Japan, but and on most of the other countries out there, they take animation as a serious art form, and it's not thrown in this category of like just one thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Whereas to some degree in America, it is.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of feel bad because two of my favorite fantasy stories about
Mm,
identity and where you belong are The Last Unicorn, and the other one's Howl's Moving Castle, and I hate both film versions. I hate them
I've
both
only
so
seen Howl's
much.
once, and I don't have too strong of a memory of it. But it's one of those Miyazaki. It's Miyazaki, so I think it's one of those things I had
Mm.
to see, and eventually I'll go back to it.
I
But
have issues with Miyazaki as a storyteller,
I'm
personally.
assuming they take diversions with that one as well.
Oh, they fuck it so hard. They fuck it so bad. Like right in the ear. It's brutal what they do to that book. I love that book, and they turn it into just War's Bad Kai, and it's like, I can't. I fuck. Mm-mm. No, like we would both be ran out of town on a rail if I was talking about that one, but I'm not. I'm talking about one that has a cult, and I understand why it has a cult. I just wish the songs were better, or it was just
Yeah.
better overall.
No, it makes sense. No, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I can totally see your point of view. Like I said, I completely not like I said, I haven't read the book, but I can completely understand having read the book and having some of these other themes that are explored more and that has a different vibe being turned off to something like this because it's taking something that you love and just turning it into something that kind of barely resembles the source material or or it's a shell. Um, I came at it like I said, having never read the source material, so like for the most part, I'm not saying I was 100% in love with this film. Like you said, the little butterfly scene does go a little bit too long. There would have been some interesting things that it would have been nice to see them explore a little bit further. Um, but for the most part, I for the most part enjoyed this one a lot, and I took a lot from it, and enjoyed a lot. But now I'm curious to go and read that book and see if my everything will be shattered after I read that book, and I have a feeling it will be.
It might, and
Yeah.
there's the spin. I really like the spin-off stories also. Again, I haven't.
Yeah.
The last book came out 2 years ago, and it's
Uh,
actually it's two stories. It's the first coda called Two Hearts, which I adore, and a new
yeah.
one called Sue's, which I haven't read yet because folks told me things, and it's like I'm not ready to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for that yet.
Just not ready to go down that road yet.
Not ready to go down that road yet.
Well, this is awesome, dude. I'm glad you had the opportunity to come on and talk about it. Like I said, I know you love animation, so just to talk to a fellow nerd that loves this kind of stuff is great. You know, and I would definitely say if you haven't seen it, for me, I would say check it out. Now, if you've read the book, I'd say based off what you're telling me, don't do it because you're gonna be disappointed. But I haven't personally because I haven't read the book. I can't say that I was heartbroken because I don't have it to compare it to. And I found a lot more to like than dislike. But I'm definitely gonna look to check out that book because it's one of those
You
things
should.
it's one of those ones that's up there with like I know like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. You know, it's like considered one of the top fantasy books. You know, that people recommend. And like I said, I don't know how I managed to miss it. You know, I'd never even heard of it. So, but thank you for coming on today. It was a
Thank
pleasure.
thank you for letting me on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What's going on over at Raiders of the Podcast?
Well, we just hit episode 400 last week,
Woo!
and
Nice.
that was weird. I've talked to them too much. They've broken me. I've broken them. So we each picked a movie that is near and dear our us as films. So it was an interesting experiment, and now we're back to hurting each other. So it is what it is. I
Nice.
it might be a little abusive, our relationship. I might need to reconsider things, but not quite yet.
But it's
Soon.
a good kind of abuse. It's like it's only a partial alcohol, not a
That's
total
right.
full blown.
It's only a little abusive.
Yeah, it's only a little slap here and there. You know, it's a
Yeah,
love
it's
slap. So, and what were you guys discussing on this week's episode?
well, this week we did two Neil Breen films. We did the last two, Twisted Pair and Cade, The Tortured Crossing, which is torture.
Oh, okay,
Like I
nice.
think it should be weaponized, not by anyone I know, but someone somewhere should weaponize it.
Nice, nice. Well, I look forward to checking it out. It just dropped this morning, so I did not get the opportunity to listen, but that's going to be on my listen list after this. So I'm going to be definitely
Awesome.
checking that out. So thank you again for coming on. This is great. We'll definitely get you on. Like I said, one of these days we'll get you 100% sold. I mean, technically the last episode there was one thing
Did
you liked.
okay. You did
Yeah, no.
well, and I like the other one I watched for the. We didn't talk
Oh,
about it, but I like
yeah,
the
I
other
know.
one.
Well, I still haven't locked down a guest for that. So, if you're interested, the offer's always
Hey,
there. The offer's always there. I'll give a quick shout out to people should be checking out, like Raiders of the Podcast. We got Not a Bomb with Troy and Brad. They've released a new episode every week, and they take a critical look at films that were either a commercial bomb or a failure. And I think this week, what did they talk about? Shit, I can't remember. I'm sorry, Troy and Brad. I can't remember what you guys were talking about. So I know Donnie Darko. That's it. My memory is like
um,
Swiss cheese. They took on Donnie Darko. We have, of course, The Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema with Sam and Will. Every week they surprise us with something new and interesting. So definitely check out The Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema. We have Watch Skip Plus with Jose and his new co-host Mike the Wildebeest. I know they just took on the Captain America film. They had a little discussion about that, and I think they're gearing up to do an Oscars episode. So that's stuff to look forward to from Watch Skip Plus. And then of course we have Caliber 9 from Outer Space, and definitely check out that. Like yourself, Rob and Joe, they do like a double format. They tackle two films every week, and they always put out something interesting. So definitely check out Caliber 9 from Outer Space. I'm actually going to be recording later on today. I'm a busy boy. I'm going to be talking about the Fabulous Baker Boys, and I'm going to have
ooh,
Jose on and Justin, and even got Troy from Not a Bomb joining us. So it's
you're
going to
just
be
full on bridges today.
I know, man. I didn't mean for it to happen that way. It just kind of turned out that way. And other than
Sure.
last week,
Run,
there have been a
Jeff.
month. What's that?
Run, Jeff. Run.
Yeah, so that's
Mhm.
that's that's what's going on here in the channel, and I do have some future episodes, but I'm going to keep them quiet for now because I'm still trying to lock down people and some more animated stuff that'll hopefully be interesting. Possibly the one we just talked about briefly, Fully Day. So that'll be a possible one. But that's all stuff to look forward to. So thank you everyone for listening, and thank you again for coming on. It was awesome,
Thanks for
and
having me.
I hope everybody has a wonderful day. And I look forward to talking to you soon.
See
Okay.
ya.